Tonight's big stories. Beijing accuses Tokyo of encouraging historical revisionism and says Asia-Pacific does not need any military bloc. That's after Japan entered into a landmark defense pact with the Philippines.
More encounters out at West Philippine Sea. A Filipino fisherman is missing after his boat was hit by an unidentified ship in Subic, Zambales, while China reportedly blocked a medical evacuation from the BRP Sierra Madre.
And Senate President Chis Escudero says he is ready to sign an arrest warrant for suspended Mayor Alice Guo if she skips tomorrow's Senate hearing. Guo's legal team says that she is traumatized by the previous hearings in the Senate.
Good evening. Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Sean Yao.
Well, as expected, China has issued a stern warning over the recently signed Reciprocal Access Agreement, or RAA, between the Philippines and Japan.
Beijing says the Asia-Pacific region does not need a military bloc that they believe could incite a new Cold War.
China's state media even went as far as to say that Tokyo is encouraging historical revisionism, citing its role in the Second World War. Camille Samonte with a big story tonight.
Japan rejected China's accusations that the Reciprocal Access Agreement, or RAA, that it recently signed with the Philippines targets a specific country. The RAA primarily lays down the guidelines for joint training and greater military cooperation between the Philippines and Japan. The signing of this defense pact comes amid heightened tensions between the Philippines and China in the South China Sea. In a statement, Beijing said the RAA should not threaten regional peace and stability, target any third party, or harm the interests of any third party. They added the Asia-Pacific region does not need any military bloc, still less groupings that incite bloc confrontation or a new Cold War. China believes that Japan needs to reflect on its actions during the Second World War and act prudently in fields related to military and security. A report published by Global Times, a Chinese state-controlled paper, claimed that RAA encourages Tokyo's historical revisionism. Japan was described as a former aggressor, with the article noting that it previously colonized the Philippines in World War II. Japan responded saying the RAA was not designed for conflict with any country.
Reciprocal access agreement is not targeting any country. This is a cooperation agreement between the forces of the Philippines, Japan and the Philippines, and it will enhance our defense cooperation by streamlining the procedures. Will be important for us, the Japan and the Philippines, and also the neighboring countries, because we will be able to enhance our capabilities in sustaining the peace and stability in the region.
Tokyo says maintaining rules-based international order is important to prevent conflict. That's why they are backing the Philippines' position in the West Philippine Sea, which is grounded on the 2016 Arbitral Award.
We, the like-minded countries sharing the fundamental values, need to cooperate to uphold this international order based on rule of law. And this is very important. And this RAA agreement is also will be a very important mechanism, tool, framework for the two countries to enhance.
The agreement has been signed. It still needs to be ratified by the Senate. According to Senator Amy Marcos, the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, they will scrutinize every line and every word of the treaty once the same is referred to us to make sure that it is aligned with the national interests of the country. For Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel, the Philippines should be entering more agreements of an economic nature. He adds, produkto, hindi pulbura. Senate President Chis Escudero is meanwhile in favor of the RAA. He says it secures another strong ally for the Philippines. After the signing of the RAA, Japan has pledged to provide an air surveillance radar system to the Philippine Coast Guard and to provide more patrol vessels to the Philippines. Japan and Philippines also agreed to continue strengthening their maritime and air domain awareness together with other allied nations. For News 5, Camille Samonte, We Are One News.
Speaking of the Senate President, Japan's Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa also paid a courtesy call on Senator Cheese Escudero today. In a post on X, the Japanese ambassador to the Philippines said, "It's an opportune time to reaffirm our commitments on the strategic ties of Philippines and Japan, especially during Philippines-Japan Friendship Month." Minister Kamikawa also met with Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity, Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. and Bangsamoro Minister Raisa Jajuri. The Japanese government is helping fund peace and security initiatives in the region and has said it is committed to helping see through lasting peace and prosperity in the Bangsamoro.
And the Philippines has rejected another one of China's claims, this time around, that the presence of the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal damaged coral reefs in the area. Chinese state-run media, the Global Times, reported that researchers found solid evidence of damaged marine life in Ayungin, particularly in the area where the Philippine vessel is situated. The underwater survey noted high concentrations of heavy metals in that area, which Chinese experts attributed to corroded rust from the ship. The report also said that disposed fishing nets and other garbage from the grounded vessel affected coral life. The National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea has responded, saying the accusation by so-called Chinese experts is false and a classic misdirection. It is China who has been found to have caused irreparable damage to corals. The task force has also called for an independent marine assessment in the West Philippine Sea. Amid this latest accusation from China, Philippine officials insist that the BRP Sierra Madre will stay put at the Ayungin Shoal.
We will not give up that ship. It is an indication of the government stand. It is the mandate of the AFP to ensure the integrity of the national territory.
History will tell us that they have destroyed the environment in the West Philippine Sea.
Still on the West Philippine Sea, a Filipino fisherman remains missing after a still unidentified ship hit his boat. Filipino fishing boat FBCA John Robert was hit by an unidentified vessel about 62 nautical miles southeast of Sampaloc Point in Subic, Zambales last July 3, causing it to sink. 47-year-old Robert Mondoñedo survived after being rescued on July 6, but his brother Jose Mondoñedo remains missing. According to Senator Francis Tolentino, chair of the Senate panel on Maritime and Admiralty Zones, the ship that hit the Filipino fishing boat allegedly had Chinese characters labeled Yang Fu, but its registry was still uncertain. Tolentino and the Coast Guard have not yet released complete details on the incident, but based on initial reports, the PCG's own ship near Scarborough Shoal reported it. At present, the PCG, NCR, and Central Luzon are investigating the incident, as authorities are also still looking for the missing fishermen.
A few days after that boat sank, there was another incident out there on July 7. The AFP, together with the Coast Guard, managed to successfully conduct an emergency medical evacuation of a Philippine Navy personnel stationed at the BRP Sierra Madre. That's according to National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea spokesperson Commodore J. Tariela, who posted about it on X just this evening. Tariela said the PCG faced numerous obstructing and delaying maneuvers by Chinese Coast Guard vessels, but they were able to complete the transfer of the sick personnel. Despite the presence of various smaller Chinese Coast Guard vessels, the PCG boat was able to return to the main vessel without further interruption. The sick personnel was then provided with urgent medical attention and is now in stable condition. Let's hash out all these issues further with Senator Francis Tolentino, who's chair of the Senate panel on Maritime and Admiralty Zones. Good evening, Senator. I can't see you just yet.
To your viewers as well.
Okay, so we have you on the line. Thanks for joining us tonight, Senator. Lots to hash out here. Let's begin with the missing Filipino fisherman whose boat sank a few days ago. What else do we know about this?
Well, I was informed by some of the relatives of the missing fisherman that indeed it happened July 7, and apparently one survived, one was rescued, and then the other one is still missing. And the vessel involved, the vessel allegedly that the drum that Bangka is of Chinese character, Yang Fu. So it's under investigation now by the Philippine Coast Guard.
Has there been sighting of the vessel Yang Fu? And Rear Admiral Balilo has said and has referred to this incident as an alition. Hindi po daw collision ito, alition ang sabi niya. Ibig sabihin na tamaan po siya while the fishing boat was on a standstill. Is that correct?
Perhaps the report coming from the Coast Guard is correct, but whether it is alition or collision, the vessel which rammed or the boat should, under existing international laws, have rescued the victims of the rammed boat. So it appears it's a hit and run.
Right. Do we have any idea where Yang Fu is right now, Senator? What more do we know about this incident? And really, what is within our capability in terms of investigating and trying to track down this boat that allegedly hit our fishing boat?
We will. We will. In fact, I just got hold of a folder concerning an incident which happened months ago. If you remember, the incident wherein 3 Filipino fishermen died, 3 or 4. The case has just been filed. We were able, the Philippine Coast Guard, with the help of the Department of Justice, they were able to consolidate all documents, and a case has been filed against the vessel which rammed and resulted in the death of Filipino fishermen near. I think this is near the coast of Pangasinan. So even though there was no cooperation on the part of Marshall Islands, a case was indeed filed.
So, sorry, what do you mean? What case exactly was filed? What was charged?
There are parameters under the International Maritime Organization charter that would enable the Filipino owner of the boat here, or are you referring to the other one, to seek damages from the registered owner of the vessel involved.
So you will take that same course of action, but then for
Let's
you
wait
to be
for the results of the investigation, because it will be tracked down. Yang Fu will be tracked down.
Pero Senator, asan po final yung case? Is it the UNCLOS?
Singapore.
at the IMO, right, Senator?
Yeah, Singapore.
And is this for mediation? Did we file it for mediation, or this is an outright case to charge the other vessel?
We did not, and my office was not involved. We just provided assistance to the families of the victims. So it's the DOJ which really facilitated this. So it's not mediation. It's an outright case. Violation of several admiralty laws.
Senator, nakausap na po ba natin si Robert Mondoñedo? Kamusta naman po ang kanyang kalagayan? He was out hanging on to the payo for 3 days.
Hindi po, pero ang nagpaabot po sa atin ng mensahe, yung isa pong konsehal ng San Marcelino, Zambales.
Okay, and since nandito
But
na
I
rin...
think he's in good condition.
Okay.
Kaya lang siya yung nagsabi na nakita niya na naka-float lang yung kapatid, Jose.
Okay. Okay, maiba lang tayo ng slide pero still around the West Philippine Sea issues. Kamustahin ko lang po yung status ng Maritime Zones Act, Senator. Kamusta? I have not heard an update. Yeah, since around late April, I believe. How are we doing on that?
We'll be having a final bicameral conference committee this coming July 17, and hopefully all the details will be threshed out. And if both panels would be agreeable, we will sign this and then thereafter submit this to our own chambers for submission, for approval, and then to be submitted as an enrolled bill to the President for signing.
Are you confident
Optimistic?
na... Yeah, optimistic in the form and that magkasundo naman ng both houses on this?
Yes, I think so. I think we can expect a positive outcome. we just ensured that the words West Philippine Sea would be placed in the bill, because once this is approved, we will be submitting to the United Nations for as a notice.
And then just for the benefit of those who haven't been following it, what exactly does the Maritime Zones Act do?
Do you give me 2 hours to explain this?
Headline lang, Senator, headline.
This would just delineate the boundaries of our maritime zones, whether identifying the internal waters, the territorial sea, the contingent zone, the exclusive economic zone, and thereafter it will result in the production of a map for our seas. And the Maritime Zones Law would also include the finer points of the 2016 arbitral ruling.
Yung extension for continental for continental
What's the
shelf,
difference with that?
That's a different one.
That's a different one.
Okay.
Will you be amending the existing Maritime Zones Act to consider
No,
whatever?
no.
Okay.
Okay, Senator, I'm just
That's
very
a different
curious.
one. It was filed, I think, a few weeks ago with the
Right.
Department of Foreign Affairs with the United Nations.
Senator, just very, very curious, no? Yung NAMRIA maps po natin, they have been criticized by China as not showing the territories, the waters of the West Philippine Sea. Ano po sa ngayon ang status ng ating official maps na tinuturo po sa mga bata sa paaralan?
Well, the map, as I see it, is not yet a byproduct of our Maritime Zones Law kasi wala pa nga ito. So, isa po sa isisilang ng Maritime Zones Law ay yung mapa na magde-delineate ng boundary ng ating karagatan.
So magkakaroon tayo ng bagong map. Okay. Magkakaroon tayo ng bagong
mas
map.
accurate po. Mas accurate na mapa.
Okay, so that's something we can expect. But to bring it back to the incident today, not today, but what the topic that we're discussing tonight, which is yung banggaan nga dyan, or hit and run, no, sa West Philippine Sea with our
Opo.
fishermen. Meron din po ba tayong ine-explore na diplomatic route with regard to that? With regards to identification?
Let's wait for the let's wait for the investigation report of the PCG, and there is a process to this. We still don't know the exact pace of registry of the vessel. Sometimes it can be a Chinese vessel, but a Paninian or Liberian registry. Let's wait for the official results.
Around when would that be available kaya, Senator?
Perhaps this week, the Coast Guard can identify the exact place of registry.
If you take a look at it, it seems that we are very vulnerable out at sea. I mean, these incidents can happen. Our
Yes,
fishermen.
that's why one of the byproducts again of the Maritime Zones Law would be the production of a new law, which is the Archipelagic Sea Lanes Law. It will now delineate the route where the commercial boats, domestic and foreign, should pass. But that's another story.
Oh, nga, we need 2 hours. But Senator, I want to zoom out a little bit and talk about the June 17 confrontation at Ayungin Shoal. In the days after that incident, there was a lag in the information that came out of Philippine authorities. China was first to issue its statement. And then yun nga, in the end, it was, the National Maritime Council Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin who issued the first statement from Malacanang. But then immediately after, he was almost contradicted by Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro. You chaired the panel, the Senate panel on maritime zones in the Senate. Is it fair to say that at this point, there's not much cohesion between all these agencies that are working for alignment and communications in the West Philippine Sea?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. All of them act in accordance with real-time accurate reports. So immediately, I cannot speak for them. There's a task force, and immediately after the event, it would appear that the events that unfolded were not yet that clear enough to be placed in an official statement. Although a lot of the items were there were already confirmed daytime, but the accuracy probably would merit more evaluation. So it took them a while before a final statement would be made. But I rely on the statement made by the Department of National Defense.
Okay, and right after that incident, Senator, you also wrote a letter to Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo saying, with the suggestion, no, that maybe we can ask like the Red Cross or some other body to
Yes.
help escort.
Yes.
Did that prosper? Did the Foreign Affairs Secretary reply?
Yes, I think I received a letter answer in response to my letter coming from the DFA, and I was verbally informed. I had a talk with the secretary, and they're not yet amenable to that
All right.
because it would highlight it would show a more intense situation, elevating it to a more quote-unquote conflict zone.
So, kumbaga, inflammatory and
Escalation.
escalatory.
But overall, are you happy with the way things have been handled, especially the incidents, the run-ins over at Ayungin Shoal? Is the Senate has the Senate been satisfied with the government's initiatives?
In terms of the passion, the bravery of our soldiers, there's no question about that. But all diplomatic initiatives would have to contend with what would be the response of the other side, which we cannot predict. So, am I happy? You can ask an ordinary Filipino if he's happy as to what's going on right now in the West Philippine Sea.
All right, we do hope for the quick passage of the Maritime Zones Act to get a lot more clarity out at sea.
And then also just wanted to jump in as well. Your thoughts on the RAA, Reciprocal Access Agreement?
We welcome that. We welcome that. I don't have yet the final version. I had a preliminary version before. It just goes to show that multilateralism is the way to solve this problem and ensure stability within the region.
But Senator, I think there's also some concern over how we will be able to protect our own citizens when the forces come. Yung kung nakanino yung judicial
The jurisdiction,
rather, the
if a
jurisdiction.
service member commits a crime
Jurisdiction.
or causes an accident. Yeah.
It's a feeling likewise being shared by the Japanese, especially those living near the Okinawan bases of the United States. So I think it will be thrashed out. They've learned a lot. And our revised penal code would surely be applicable.
You don't expect much of a hurdle in Senate then?
Let's see.
You're going to have
I
to...
cannot prognosticate and tell the things that would happen in the months and weeks ahead.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Okay, we're going to have to leave that there for tonight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Senate Majority
God bless.
Leader Francis Tolentino.
We're going to be pausing for a quick break for now. Right after that, despite the fallout on the economy, NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan expresses support for an outright ban on Pogos. The details on that when we return. Keep it here.
Welcome back. You're still watching the big story here on One News.
As calls grow louder and louder to ban pogos, NEDA and the Labor Department say that they have started studying the possible impact of a blanket ban on the local economy. Maricel Halili with that story.
If you ask Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, it would be better to ban pogos in the Philippines, despite the possibility of losing up to 20 billion pesos in annual revenue, according to the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, or PAGCOR. The calls to ban pogos in the Philippines once again intensified after a series of videos showing the torture of its workers were released. In addition, there were also numerous crimes and scams connected to its illegal operations.
It may be a big number, but the cost and particularly social cost of pogos are quite high, and also we are trying to position our country as a legitimate place for business, where we are trying to attract investors to come, tourists to come. And so the least that we want is to have a reputation na nandito yung mga criminals.
Balisacan emphasizes that the possible loss of revenue from pogos can be recovered through other means. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto has said that he is keen in recommending to the president to halt the operations of pogos, given the recent issues surrounding the industry. However, the cabinet has not yet discussed the banning of pogo. Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Ontiveros had called on the Executive Department and the Senate leadership to act quickly on the recommendation to ban pogo. Other senators, including Senate President Chis Escudero, Senate President Pro Tempore Jinggoy Estrada, and Senator Loren Legarda, expressed support for the ban. For its part, the Labor Department is already conducting a profiling of more than 20,000 workers who might lose their jobs if pogo is banned. This involves assessing the skills or abilities of pogo workers to determine other jobs they would potentially enter.
We cannot actually just wait for the day na sinabing close na. Dapat nagtatransisyon na rin kami. Baka gusto na ninyong mag-start ng training ninyo nang sa ganun maihanda na namin kayo sa available na trabaho.
The profiling has already begun in Metro Manila, where PAGCOR has ordered that work from home is no longer allowed for pogo workers. This is to make it easier for DOLE to conduct inspections at offices and determine the legitimacy of operations. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
Senators see no reason for suspended Mayor Alice Guo to skip tomorrow's hearing on pogos. Guo's camp says she was still traumatized by the previous Senate hearings, wherein she was questioned for hours about her nationality and alleged ties to criminal syndicates. Her team could not provide the Senate with a medical certificate, though, saying no doctor wanted to get involved. That prompted Senate President Chis Escudero to offer the services of the Senate's in-house doctor. He also warned Guo that skipping the hearing could force them to issue an arrest order.
Kung wala siyang makuha ang doktor, edi pwedeng magpadala ng doktor ang Senado para tiyakin at tingnan ang kanyang kalagayan. Kapag ka nag-issue ng subpoena, yan ay under compulsion of law na tinatawag. Ibig sabihin, wala sa kapasahan niya kung siya'y mag-a-attend o hindi. Kung hindi sila dadalo, nasa kamay ni Senator Risa kung siya'y magre-request na mag-issue ng warrant of arrest para sila'y pwersahang padaluhin sa pagdinig ng Senado. At pipirmahan ko ang warrant of arrest na yun.
Let's get some updates from the camp of Mayor Alice Guo. We have with us tonight her legal counsel, Attorney Nicole Jamila. Magandang gabi po. Nakamute po kayo, Attorney?
Ayan, I'm sorry. Hi, good evening everyone. Good evening.
Attorney, there you heard Senator Chis Escudero talk about what's going to happen if Mayor Alice Guo doesn't attend. There are two things here that your camp has mentioned as reasons. Number one is that her life is threatened, and the second one is that her mental health is affected. Should the Senate just take your word for it dahil wala po kayong medical certificate na maibigay?
Well, for one, that is the actual reason talaga why she cannot attend the hearing tomorrow. Number two, we tried all the avenues. We tried ever since, even before the, I think, May the second one, before she was issued a subpoena, we tried contacting and asking for medical certificates. However, we did not receive, or parang hindi okay ang reception ng medical community because of the issue. Medyo high profile kasi si Mayor Guo, so basically no one wanted to be involved in it.
Except perhaps Senate President Cheese, has he actually made the offer to you guys na hindi lang yung nasa TV, through a statement, through an interview? Has he reached out to your camp? And would your camp be willing or amenable to having the in-house Senate doctor take a look and maybe examine Mayor Guo?
For the offer, none. With due respect to Senator Cheese, this is the first time that our team received or heard of that offer. And should it be given talaga, we will check with Mayor Guo, kasi at the end of the day, it's her decision naman talaga. As lawyers, we will just assist. We will just give her the options, the remedies provided by law.
Has she decided to appear?
I'm still a little bit confused though. On what grounds is she skipping tomorrow's hearing?
Number one, because of actual threats. Actually, since day one, she's been receiving actual death threats, considering the happenings. So even before, drones were heard, drones were seen in her vicinity, in her area. So, and also we can see naman sa mga social media posts of the threats that we have, or that she has. So that's the first argument, or the first ground that we cited. And second is the trauma that she received talaga from the interviews or from the hours of grilling. So on her part, hindi na niya kakayanin, or hindi na daw niya kaya kung sakali man na she will be placed under the same pressure, under the same, hours of torture, for that matter.
Clarification lang, Attorney Hamilia, wala bang option na to join in via Zoom or, via the internet, phone in, kung security ang concern?
Well, the subpoena that we received, the subpoena, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they require personal appearance from Mayor. So that avenue was not, I think, given, or wala pa kami then. I think even before, wala rin kaming experience na a resource person was allowed for that matter. Except, of course, the COVID time. So I think that was the only time that they allowed that.
I am sure if you ask the Senate for a closed-door executive session, though, where she's willing to divulge all that she knows, I'm sure they would be amenable to that. Has that option been floated?
Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken as well, Senator Win expressed his opinion on the matter, saying that Mayor Guo allegedly is not qualified as the state witness. Kasi sabi nga...
No. Sorry, attorney. I didn't mean that she would stand as a state witness, and you're correct. Senator Gatchalian has said she does not qualify to become a state witness. What I'm asking is, did you consider asking for an executive session closed door if you were so worried about her security?
Right now, kasi we are not into that, considering that what was really stated on the Senate hearing was her truth. So, contrary to the opinions, with due respect then, yun talaga po yung kwento niya. So, yun po yung nabanggit niya, yun yung sasabihin din naman talaga niya, regardless kung sa executive session ito or an open or a public hearing for that matter.
Right. Attorney, yung hearing bukas, scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, pinapatawag din, sinapina rin ang mga kapatid ni Mayor Guo. I think including her parents, but I think they are, or her alleged parents rather, but I think those two personalities are outside the Philippines. Some of the supposed siblings, I guess I'm just gonna say, supposed siblings ni Mayor Guo, pinapatawag din. Are they also your clients? Will they be showing up? Or is this everyone's just, are they gonna turn up?
Number one, we already filed, I think last Friday, one of the Senate representatives went to our office and they brought with them copies of the subpoenas for the supposed other family members of Mayor Guo. So we are we made a letter or certification that we do not represent them. So actually, as we speak, I do not know them. I haven't talked to them. I have not seen any of them. So I cannot speak for them.
Okay.
Naman talaga.
Okay. Mayor Go has been absent for weeks. She has not been seen in her farm. Is she still in the Philippines? And is there a possibility that your camp's mind would change? Because Senator Chis Escudero said that they might issue an arrest order.
Well, on the exact location of the mayor, I'm sorry, I'm bound by the lawyer-client privilege. But what I can say is that at the end of the day, the decision is always hers. The opinion or the options or the remedies, we just provide them as lawyers. We give them the options, and it's up to her naman talaga. So who knows? Malay natin, biglang magbago isip din niya tomorrow. Kasi I think it's the hearing tomorrow is at 10 a.m. So we do not know kasi as we speak, we already gave them we already gave her yung options nga na available, and at the same time the possible risks or the consequences. We already discussed that with them. Nakita or sinabi na namin kay Mayor na ito yung mga possible na of course in case nga na sakaling hindi makapag-comply sa subpoena, we are aware that the Senate has the power to issue contempt order, and as a consequence, she might be or issued also a warrant of arrest. So we don't know actually kung mali natin tomorrow before the hearing magbago din naman ang isip niya.
Pero you've presented her, kumbaga, with all the possible scenarios and all her options also, of course, as her legal team.
Yes.
The one thing that's come to light between the first few Senate hearings to the most recent one, the last one that she didn't attend the last one either. But one thing that's come to light is that her fingerprints, the fingerprints of Alice Guo and Guo Huaping matched. And that's why the senators and the other lawmakers are convinced those two people are one and the same. Have you submitted any evidence to counter that?
Actually, we do not have copies of that. So number one, we do not have copies of that. Number two, we are not privy to any of those supposed investigation or conducting or getting the fingerprints. So we cannot really get any, or we cannot really give any comment. Number two, I think they already filed a petition for the cancellation of the live birth of Mayor Guo. But I do not know, or we do not know really, if that evidence was used against her, or if that was one of the bases of the OSG in filing the petition. So right now we cannot actually. It's all based on hearsay. It's all based on the media. It's all based on the conferences held by our good senators. Pero wala kami talaga officially nakita na document. And wala din kaming nakita na kahit anong report regarding that fingerprint. So we cannot say anything as of today.
You mean your team has not been contacted by
Informed.
the offices of the good senators about this?
Yes. Actually, just to be clear, ma'am, I think the only cases that are pending right now against the mayor is number one, the criminal and the administrative cases against her in her capacity as the mayor before the office of the ombudsman. And I think that was another issue because it tackles the issuance of the business permit for Zunyu technology for years 2023 and 2024. So that is still pending before the office of the ombudsman. Number two case is I think the human trafficking case that was filed against her by the PAOK and the other government agencies, and that is still pending before the Department of Justice regarding the supposed, I think the alleged connection between the mayor and the the Hongsheng and the Zunyuan also. So that is the only official cases that we received and that were filed against the mayor, and that is the only cases that we are answering right now.
Okay,
But,
and
but assume for a second that so you're saying that you haven't seen any of the documents linking her identity to Guo Huaping. And
Yes, yes.
we're telling you that for a fact that the NBI has confirmed to us that they have tested, they have matched her biometrics with to that person named Guo Huaping, who arrived in the country. Was it July 12?
that was her birthday.
Oh no, sorry. I don't remember the year, but nevertheless, they've linked her identity to that. So what then, if they have proof that the Alice Guo, Mayor Alice Guo's identity is not, she's not who she said she is, right? So your answer to me earlier about the executive session is that she's going to answer all the same things and it's her truth. But yun nga, since then, the authorities have proven that she's lied. So what's your recourse now?
Yes, ma'am. At the end of the day naman, it's all about the law. It's all about the due process. So we will be answering those allegations or those inquiries before the appropriate court or before the appropriate time. Right now kasi it's not really proper for us to discuss or to comment on something that we do not see and we do not have. I think the burden of proof is always with the accuser or with the plaintiff. So if given the proper time and if given the proper forum, we will answer definitely as long as the documents will be presented to us. Kasi yun naman as lawyers as lawyers were given or were here for her para ma-check and to determine if indeed due process was served or if the constitutional rights of every person has been protected. So at the end of the day, sa court pa din talaga babagsak ito.
Okay, that's been also consistently what Attorney David has been telling us. But I'm assuming, Attorney Hamilia, na you are in touch with Mayor Guo still. Kamusta po siya? Like just broadly speaking, without disclosing or giving up your privilege as her attorney, of course.
Yes. Well, she's down. I think that's the general observation that I can say. I think she's really affected, especially of the criminal case that was filed against her. So after that, kasi doon na medyo nagdire-diretso na siya. So I think the first criminal case, or I think the first case talaga that was filed is before the Office of the Ombudsman. She got suspended, and then right after that, letters of authorities from the BIR were issued against her and against her companies. And then after that, the DOJ, or I mean the PAOK, filed as I think a human trafficking case against her. And then just recently, a petition for cancellation was filed against her. So in a matter of a month I think, in and out yung cases na nafa-file sa kanya. So kami nga na lawyers stressed na, so how much more si Mayor talaga. So yun, may time na nasa stress, may time na nakikita namin na medyo affected, yun naman. Not only medyo, pero affected talaga. But the good point is she's trying, she's fighting naman.
All right, we do hope for more communication from your camp as well as the different offices that have already brought to light so many things about Mayor Alice Guo. Anything?
No, I was just going to say that as you just enumerated, Attorney, the walls are closing in. All these government agencies are after her. I just don't see how you're going to get out of this. You keep coming back to due process, but in constitutional rights. But yun nga, if she was proven, and she has been proven to be a foreigner, then she does not have constitutional rights, right? So I'm just, what is your recourse now? How do you get out of this without cooperating with the Senate?
Oh, well, with due respect kasi yun nga, number one, ma'am, under the Constitution, every person has a right naman,
Every
regardless of
Filipino,
age, gender, nationality. So
every
that is
Filipino,
ours.
attorney, every Filipino has constitutional rights. But
Yes,
the
yes.
Senate has
And
proven
right now,
that
as
she's a foreigner.
And right now, as we speak, she is a Filipino citizen. There is no law or there is no case filed against her, and there is no decision yet from the court saying otherwise. So that's what we are holding on right now. And then, of course, yun nga, kasi with due respect to our senators or extinguished senators, let the courts decide on this matter, considering that these are all, yun nga, nasabi na natin, cases were already filed against her. So, proper courts or proper jurisdiction should follow already. So whatever the decision or whatever cases will be filed, I think Mayor Guo is ready to face that in the proper forum.
Okay.
Kita-kita na lang sa korte, kumbaga.
We
no?
will
Attorney
continue.
Tina.
We will continue to follow the story. Thank you so much for your time tonight,
Thank you,
Attorney
thank you po.
Nicole.
Thank you.
Is it Jamila or Hamila?
Hamilia.
Hamilia, sorry. Attorney Nicole Hamilia, legal counsel for Mayor Alice Guo. Thank you so much.
Thank you po.
In other news, the White House has denied that U.S. President Joe Biden is being treated for Parkinson's disease. This comes after the New York Times reported that a doctor specializing in Parkinson's visited the White House at least 8 times from August to March, citing visitor logs. There has been great concern that Biden has an undisclosed illness after he appeared frail or at times losing his train of thought during the June 27 debate with Donald Trump. Reuters also reviewed the White House visitor log and found that a neurologist named Dr. Kevin Kennard did visit the White House from August to March. But White House Dr. Kevin O'Connor said that Kennard's visits were only to support active duty members involved in the White House operations and not to treat the president. O'Connor also noted that Biden has not seen a neurologist outside of his normal annual physical. Still, White House Press Secretary Karen Jean-Pierre refused to confirm Kennard's visits, citing privacy and security.
If it's not in the medical report, obviously it's not something that the president is dealing with. Has the president been treated for Parkinson's? No. Is he being treated for Parkinson's? No, he's not. Is he taking medication for Parkinson's? No. So those are the things that I can give you full-blown answers on, but I'm not going to confirm a specialist, any specialist that comes to the White House. We cannot share names of specialists broadly, from a dermatologist to a neurologist.
Quick update naman tayo ulit sa preparations ng ating Olympians with just 17 days to go before the opening of the Olympic Games Paris 2024. The grind never stops for Filipina boxers Nesty Petesio and Ira Villegas as they continue their conditioning for Paris 2024. Petesio and Villegas are still currently in Metz, France for the preparations for the boxing tournament. Meanwhile, Tokyo silver medalist Carlo Paalam and bronze medalist Yumir Marshall, along with a third member of the women's squad, Herji Bakyadan, are in Germany for a separate training camp. Petesio and Paalam and Marshall are the Philippines' strongest contenders for a podium finish in the Summer Games as they target to end the quest for the elusive gold in the sport. Meanwhile, also ramping up his preparations is Golden Boy Kaloy Yulo. Yulo has been focused on refining his skills as he prepares for his comeback at the Olympics. The Filipino gymnast made his Olympic debut at the 2020 Tokyo Summer Games, where his best finish was 4th in vault. This time around, the 24-year-old Yulo is hoping to finally bring home the gold for the Philippines in gymnastics.
And just before we go, we'll leave you with our big picture on this Tuesday night. And it is a photo of First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos together with Chris Aquino's sons, Josh and Bimby. The Aquino boys paid the First Lady a visit at her office earlier today. On her Facebook page, First Lady Liza wrote, "Thank you, Bimby and Josh, for dropping by. It was so nice to see you guys after all these years." In a separate post on Instagram, First Lady Liza thanked Bimby and Josh for taking time off to visit her and said that she loved the pasalubong that they got her from their overseas trip.
Of course, so many Mariteses on social media.
Well, you know, like we've been analyzing pictures here since yesterday. I think it started with Gretchen. So everyone's also like kind of saying that
We don't see the First Lady in yellow all the time.
yes.
She's
She's usually
you
in
think
red.
there's something
It's the first
behind
time
it.
I've seen her wear yellow.
It is the
Really?
first time I've seen her wear yellow.
You
She
think there's
usually
something behind
wears
it?
red or blue, sometimes pink.
Hey, but to see them
But you
together,
know, why not? I mean, there's
right?
no...
This
The question
nation,
of,
this nation has been caught up in the feud of the two families, and we know those families, and just seeing them together in a photo,
was
doing
just very...
socials
It was shocking.
in this
to say
time
the
and
least.
age.
And for the kids who do not know, the death of Chris Aquino's father sparked the revolution that ousted the First Lady's father-in-law. And,
Marcos Sr.
And sent them into exile
Right.
in Hawaii, to Hawaii.
However-
so that's why it's this picture is so
Worth 1,000
mind-boggling,
words.
mind-boggling
But
for a
the
lot
First
of
Lady
people.
is also an Araneta.
Yes,
Correct.
Right.
And it's related to I don't remember the
Mar Rojas.
Mar
yes,
Rojas.
yes, former
Former
DILG
DILG Secretary
Mar
of
Rojas,
Benigno Pinoy, President
who's
Pinoy.
obviously linked to the Liberal Party.
Right, and
So-
also Pinoy is, of course, the older brother of Chris Aquino,
So
the
it isn't-
uncle of Josh and
It
Bibi.
isn't impossible to build
I
bridges
know.
there.
Are we taking for granted that everyone just knows this?
I think it's probably took a lot of people off guard not knowing that they have linkages.
Right.
I guess maybe people think that
If they
these
see each other,
families
it's
are
probably
warring.
not in public.
Oh.
Not, I mean,
Yeah.
but to see those
Yeah.
photos.
Well,
Does that mean,
officially though, the PCO has not commented at all about the visit of Josh and Bimbi to the First Lady today.
it's a I don't think they have to. It's a
Yeah,
private visit.
the
right?
First Lady already.
But we want some answers, I guess.
May bago bang unit team?
That's the question you want answered.
Well, okay, let's just be frank, because it's all on social media anyway. It has triggered a lot of very political comments on social media because mag-e-election na, guys, midterms na next year.
That's
So
true.
that's why the timing and the yellow dress, so everything's now being questioned.
Politics is about signaling. A lot of it is about signaling.
Former
right?
Vice President Leni Robredo said, though, that she will be running as mayor of Naga. So that part is confirmed. She's not running for senator.
Well, like
October is
Attorney
still far
Hamida
away.
said, yeah, things can still change. Someone's mind can always change until the very last minute.
We do know as well that the Liberal Party, if not some of the other political parties, are also trying to convince former Vice President Leni Robredo to run for a national post still, right?
So we
we
should
know
rephrase
that they
it to-
are still talking
Right.
to her about
So
it.
far, nobody has managed to convince
Correct.
her yet. And we
Yet.
have run out of time. That's it for the big story tonight.
Well, you got to take a look at the character of someone and the track record. I don't think the former vice president, usually changes her mind. She does what she says.
Yes,
Right?
that's true.
And probably what we can do to analyze that photo too. Take a look
So
at
it's just like the U.S. then. If not Biden, then who? If not Robredo, then who is the face of the opposition?
And that is the big question for another day.
All right, we are One News All Sides all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.